Hello, my name is Chasidee. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story, my life. I was encouraged to do this video by my First Lady, Jamie Rogers, to tell my story, and I'm praying that it will help someone, at least one. But before I do, I want everyone to please not see me as a victim, but a survivor. Because by God's grace, that's the only reason I'm able to be here today to tell you that. My story starts when I was about 2 years old. I had an imaginary friend named Deedus. If I was outside playing, Deedus was with me. When I come in, they had to actually hold the door open to let him come through the door. When we ate dinner or lunch, they had to actually set plates out for him, had to put food in the plates because Deedus had to eat with me. If I took a bath, Deedus was there. If I took a nap, Deedus was there. They just thought my grandparents, which was my safe haven, the only place I felt safe, is where I got my unconditional love from. They thought that it was just an imaginary friend. It was something the phase I was going through. Until one night, we got in bed. I always had to sleep between them. They always kissed each other goodnight, and then we laid down. And when we did, my grandma and grandpa had bought a poster, a real big one, of Jesus. It was at the foot of the bed on the wall. And when I seen it, I jumped up and I was so excited, I scared them. And I said, Deedus, Deedus. And his eyes were the eyes that I'd always seen looking at me. And my grandparents knew then who my imaginary friend was. And his eyes have always been on me, and that's the only reason, like I tell you, that I'm here today, is because he's been with me since I was 2. And I know it's hard to believe that a 2-year-old can remember that, but I can tell you the meals that we ate, I can tell you the clothing that I wore. He was always there, and he's still with me today, and that's the only reason I'm alive. At 5 years old, we had a babysitters. They were husband and wife. They were an older couple that my parents left me, my sisters, and some of my cousins stayed there sometimes as well. And the man babysitter started calling me outside, and he would started telling me things like that he was in love with me, and the only way that I could protect my sisters was from them beating them with the switches, is if I performed all different kinds of sexual favors for him. And it's something that no 5-year-old should ever have to go through, no child period, not even grown or whatever, should have to go through. But I would do that on a daily basis, along with learning how to French kiss and things like that as well with him. And that was the only way, like I said, that would stop them. And I told my parents about that, but they didn't. They were too involved in themselves. My mom had left my dad at the time for his best friend, so that's what made it difficult. I had to handle it on my own because nobody else was there for me. My next story is my mom went and got school clothes for us kids, and my outfit was a baby blue shirt, which I had matching shorts with, and we always had to get our clothing approved through my father before we could wear them in public. So we went outside, and when I did, he had our pet pig there, and he was in one of his moods. He stabbed the pig in the throat, cut its throat, and when the blood came out, he put it on his hand and slapped me in the chest and ran it down and ruined the shirt. And he did things like that with our animals. We had a kitten that we loved dearly that he took and lined us all 4 up. There was me and my 3 sisters, and he had a dog pen in the back where he raised coonhounds, and threw the kitten over the cage and made us watch as the dog ripped it apart and tore it up. And he did all different kinds of sadistic things with our animals. We had raised rabbits as well, and once we raised them, he never told us what we were going to have to do with them. He just let us get attached to them, and then he would make us go outside, hold them up by their back legs, and hit them over the back of the head to break their necks. And then we had to tie them up on a pipe and skin them, and when we did, they would still be alive and hollering and screaming, and he would make us sit there and listen to that. And we had his coonhounds that he raised. We had to help him help him inseminate the female dogs in ways that is not normal, that you shouldn't, is only way I could think of to put it politely and not so blunt and black and white. That was very made us as children feel very uncomfortable, and that was his lessons to us on how to learn difference about from a man and a woman by the use, because he would I guess you call it bestiality, is what he would do with the animals, and that's how we learned, or how he would teach us one of the lessons. My next segment is going to be about when we met a guy that worked at a convenience store in the town that we lived in. And my mom and dad both, in this one, had me befriend him in a way to where I would have to go in the freezer part of the store where they kept like the beer and the drinks and stuff, and keep him, entertained, where he could do touchy, feely, pretty much whatever he wanted. I just wasn't allowed to have intercourse with him. While they would go and get their cigarettes or their drinks or the food, whatever they wanted, he would let them have it as long as I was, there letting him touch and feel. And then my parents went as far as moving this guy in with us. And I was allowed to, he was allowed to do oral sex, and I had to do oral sex with him, but no intercourse. And he could, wash my clothes, fix my food. My dad pretty much had him be my slave, and whenever I told my dad I didn't want to do it anymore, he grabbed the guy by the throat and asked me if I wanted him to break his neck. And of course, I said no, but I just wanted him gone. And the only reason the guy had to move out was because my brother-in-law found in his trunk of his car, the whole trunk was full of child porn. And the guy was in his 30s, and I was 17 when this was going on. My dad was always calling me names. I was either a fat cow or a fat bitch, that word. There was a time I was cooking dinner, and we had these cow mats in the kitchen, the floors my brother-in-law had, and it was the black and white cows, and he would tell me that I was a fat ASS, and if I didn't move off of those, then I was going to wipe the spots off of them. There was a time that I wasn't fat. I was 176 pounds and 5'11", so I wasn't fat at all. But my dad, the doctor that he's seen, he put the fear of God in the guy, because he made the guy write me prescriptions for Phetermine. And my dad kept me on Phetermine, and I had to get up every morning at 7 o'clock, and I was a senior in high school, and I had to cook the meals for my sisters, for him. I had to clean the house. He literally would use a white glove to make sure it was spotless. If it wasn't, then I paid for it with whoopings, or he would take something away, like cut my driver's license up or whatever I cared about. He would take it away from that. And I would have to also, the times that he would want to beat my mom when I was in high school, a senior, she would sleep in the bed with me. She would sleep while I stayed awake to make sure he didn't come and kill her, because that's what he always said he would do, was kill her. And so I would stay awake, and I honestly don't even know how I passed high school. How I even graduated. It was only by the grace of God that I did, because I didn't sleep at night, and I would have to take him to the hospital, and I would have to do like his wifely duties for him. There was a time that my mom came home, and she had her paycheck, and she had it in her purse, and she was playing with my dad, teasing him, and he flipped, reached over, and grabbed the lighter fluid, and I seen it when he grabbed it. He soaked her down with it, lit his lighter, because he always had a Zippo, because he smoked, and went to go throw it on her. When he did, I stepped in between it and got her outside with my sister and my brother-in-law. And we got her in the garage, and I know it's going to sound harsh, but we heard a pop, and I was praying that he had killed himself. I was praying. And when we went out there to look, he was laughing because he had shot, because he said he thought that I was in the driver's seat, fixing to take her out of there, and it would have shot me right between the eyes. And he was laughing because he had thought that he had done that, and that he was going to take me away from her. And the next beating or thing that I remember after that was we were going to the grocery store, and my sister and I, Charlotte, rest in peace, she's gone now. She wanted me to hold her hand, and I was like, sisters being sisters, no. Don't be a titty baby. You can go out there. It's dark. You're fine. Well, he got really, really mad, and he stood me up and made my mom stand there by the chair, and my sisters lined up huddled against each other in the hallway. And he took a 2x4 about this long, in a regular 2x4 size, and he started hitting me with it, and I lost count after it gets about the 50th pot. But he had beat me so bad that it was I was black and blue all the way down, and I'm 43 now, so I'll be 44 in December, and I can't sit long and I can't stand long because my legs go numb, and I have a scar in my back, so I have to carry his touches with me for the rest of my life. And I have a scar there where he had beat me, and he just the only reason he stopped is because he got tired, and he stopped doing it, and it was just horrible, absolutely horrible. I just hope nobody ever has to go through that. And the amazing thing about it is, let me tell you how God turned it. When I came to Covenant Life Fellowship with the first time was on Easter Sunday 2015, and I knew when I got out of the car, I knew, I was lost, doing things I shouldn't have been doing, going to bars, and, things that people do. Well, probably not, because I'm not normal. But I came in and I met the pastors and everything and became a member, and they've broke the generational curse. They've laid hands on me. I've been baptized, so when I was baptized, when they dumped me in the water, I seen the lid go over me, so I knew I was sealed. I knew, and I felt it when it broke. It was like an egg. And they didn't know my story. They didn't know me for Peter Brown, and I became a member there, and I have a lot of insecurities about letting people close to me because I'm afraid they're going to hurt me, and I have very huge trust issues. And so if I don't ever go across the church to meet or greet you, it's not because I'm rude or I'm scared to hug you, because I'm going to love you, because when I love, I love. It's just I have trouble walking sometimes, or trouble sitting. And the odd thing about that is my pastors didn't know any of this, and they put me in a position to greet with people, and I do it gracefully, and I love everybody that comes in, love on them, because you don't know their story. You don't know what's behind that smile. You don't know what kind of day they're having. I always wished I had somebody there like that, and I didn't. My dad's sisters never were there. Nobody was ever there to help us, and I should have died. I tried to commit suicide. God had a very funny sense of humor. He broke the thing I hung myself on. He broke it in half, so I didn't die there. I didn't die for my dad. And here I am today, trying to serve God the best way I can, broken. I know I shouldn't feel dirty, but I do a little bit. But God's healed me a whole lot, and we're in the process of it. I wouldn't even be here today without my first lady or my pastor's love. We don't have any family in my husband and I, but they're our family, and they love us unconditionally. And I still don't understand sometimes why they do. But they do, and my husband just tells me, just let them love you. Just let them love you. That's what real love is. So it's the closest thing I've had since my grandparents of what real love is. So after the suicide attempts didn't work, and my sister, the one that gave her body for us, pretty much that kept my dad, kind of back. I mean, he still would say things to people that we were 4 wads that he accidentally shot, and he wished that he never, Mom said several times she wished that she could do whatever she wouldn't have us kids. My sister still, she would lay her body down for him. So we got together, and I didn't know at the time that she was being molested. She just seen all the abuse that we went through, and she was trying, her being the baby sister, she was trying to protect us by getting him out of there, or we just wish that somebody would have took us. And so what we did was, her and I, which this wasn't a Christian thing to do, but we did it. We stuck together and had a plan that we were going to murder him. And we put a recorder. We had watched enough shows to learn, what we knew. We put a recorder underneath his recliner that he sat in, and it was voice activated. But what we didn't realize was that when you stop talking, it makes a clicking sound. And it made a clicking sound, and he found it. But I did not let him know that she was in it because I knew what he would do to her as well, so I took it. And those were times when he would use his hand or the belt or whatever he could find, and he would hit me so hard that it would lift me up off the floor at 176 pounds and 5'11". And she tried to get CPS to come out there, but we were so scared that he was going, we just knew he would find us because all the attempts before, when my mom tried to leave him, he'd find us. So we lied. He made us lie that nothing was wrong, and her attempts, they were failed. And for that, I still carry that burden around to this day. But her and I have worked on our relationship, and we're in a really good place now. And God's healing it. He's healing it. He is. And she struggled with a lot as well, because her sexual abuse and mental and verbal and all that she went through, she remembers everything. And I can't imagine that the bits and pieces that I remember, I barely can deal with it. Her remembering every detail of every time, every incident is enough to make a crazy person crazy. So if you would just keep her covered in your prayers as well. Her name is Candace. So in conclusion, I pray that my story will help at least one not harm you. But when you think of me and you think of my story and you watch this, however many times you watch it or share it, please do not look at me or feel sorry for me, because I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a survivor. God saved me from that by His grace and His glory. And He used that ugliness and He turned it around to make me who I am today. And He's blessed me. I have a fantastic husband. We've been in each other's lives for 24 years. We'll be married actually a year this October. He loves me unconditionally. He's still writing my story. It's not over. So just stay tuned, because you're going to hear my name more and more, because God's going to use this to turn it around. And I love you, and I love God. And if I could give you any words of wisdom, put all that you are into Him. Trust Him more than anything or anybody. He's a very loving Father. He's a good, good Father. And remember, He gives His toughest battles to His strongest soldiers. God bless. I love you. He loves you. Be blessed.